Batean la pelota al jardín central. Parece que la van a cachar fácilmente. Vamos a tener una jugada en el home plate. La tiran a home plate. JT se cayó. Dios mío. Se cayó. Norman. Se cayó JT. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I'll be riding shotgun underneath the hot sun, feeling like a someone.
Bottom line is, does the psychology of that crushing loss override how good you guys played, or vice versa?
So look, I mean, we can't let 10 minutes dictate our season. We have to keep our heads held up high. We had a great game, just a very lousy 10 minutes, and I didn't think of it. We didn't think of it. Jeffrey. Didn't think. We were so blacked out. And we were just in a different place, a very, very dark place. We're just in a different place, a very, very dark place. We're just in a different place, a very, very dark place. We're just in a different place, a very, very dark place. We're just in a different place, a very, very dark place. We're just in a different place, a very, very dark place.
I'll be riding shotgun underneath the hot sun, feeling like a someone.
We are here, our preseason analysis. We're talking about the Aces over here. JT, very, very funny situation that happened at the draft and the week leading up to the draft is that I don't think it's a secret. Mavora was taking Yedid, and I don't think he wanted to, as crazy as that sounds. I think he'd rather draft everybody together in the third round. That's his MO. And he couldn't trade Yedid. What do you think of that?
So, I mean, that's no knock on Yedid, obviously. It's just the way Ike likes to operate his teams. I don't blame Ike. Preferably, I'd rather have an Eddie Harari and my first-round pick, Shalu. I'd rather go that direction also. So I'm with Ike. I have a very similar concept. We're similar in that regard. I like that. But he couldn't get enough. He tried, and he ended up getting Yedid. And you're not going to... you're not going wrong with Yedid, starting a team with Yedid.
It's probably a blessing in disguise.
MVP. By the way, he should have won MVP. I don't know how he didn't win MVP.
He got a lot of votes, but a lot of people don't vote pitcher.
I voted him for MVP, not even a question. He was 12-2, 1.9 ERA, and he had 15 hits with a walk-off. I mean, it's not even close. If there's ever and he was the number one seed. Jack Avadi's team was 7-7. I just don't understand. And it's not like he hit 700, 750. He hit 600. People hit 550 all the time. It's extra one more hit.
I know
that
the swimming fans were torn, and that some of them voted for Z, some of them voted for Max, so the vote was split. And then Jack Avadi did have the best offensive year in the league last year.
He did, and he deserves it any other year, but not when a pitcher goes 12-2. Justin Verlander, 2011. He went he had 24 wins, one MVP. Broke the barrier. They said they had to give it to him. Kershaw, 2014, he was 21-3 with a 1.70 ERA. He won the MVP. 12-2.
What about Vida Blue, 76 MVP pitcher?
I don't see that.
Last switch hitter as a pitcher.
So Yedid also hit walk-offs. Jack Avadi had a big spot up, and he didn't deliver against Max Sutton's team in a huge game late in the season where he needed that game to put himself in the top four.
Deal school.
He didn't come through there.
Harbor.
It's not a good job. And Norm, I think you should, for the future, I think you should give the panel, just like how they vote on Hall of Fame, they give it to the 100 writers. Yeah. You should give it to 20 guys and let them pick the MVP, because Max Yedid got robbed of an MVP.
I got to say that the voting... And
12-2.
Let's talk about this team before we go to the voting. But the voting is not as much of a popularity contest as people think. I see the votes. People are not all voting for their own team. Some of the D-backs did, but not everyone is really doing that. I noticed some D-back nominees only got votes from their own players, but across the league...
Just so you know, D-backs led the league. They were the second team in runs given up. So
well, you guys had a phenomenal D.
We were Gold Glovers.
Okay, let's go to this team, the Aces. So he has the pitcher that he wants over there, but Yedid is not in the situation that Nabi has been in the last few years, where they traded for him and therefore he has no players. He has a lot of players here.
Nice team.
But I want to
Nice
know what
team.
you think about this team. I also have big questions on where you put these three guys amongst these three positions.
So
I don't think it's going to open like this, but you do.
okay, so yeah, I think he'll play short. I think he'll play second. I'm not a Matute fan. He's a nice hitter, but I don't like his position. I never really know where to put him, so that's why I don't draft him. I'm not so high on him. To me, this is like probably one of the only spots on all 8 teams where the position is not a solid lockdown position. You go through every other team and the guy's locked down. My brother at third, or you have whatever it is. You go through all of them and every guy's locked down, but he's not locked down. So
Okay.
I don't really like this pick, but Mavor is a great drafter. I think he drafted really well. He always does. He knows the players well. He drafted the best team he possibly could. He made a great trade. We'll get to that. And he got himself an extra pick.
A couple of questions about his draft. 'Cause I think Toot only is comfortable at second base. I think Eddie, I don't recall Eddie playing short center. I think Eddie wants to play short. And I think Joko's going to be bumped to short center.
That can happen. I like that. That could work. Why not?
I think that's better than this.
If Matute can't handle this, and this is easier for him, then you have to do it. And then at this point, I'd rather put Eddie at short just because he's a veteran. Joko's a great player, one of my
Now,
favorites.
why set up Toot for disaster where he's not comfortable? He's not comfortable at short center. He's only comfortable at second. I almost have to force it, especially they drafted Toot when they had no outfield at the time. They only had Irwin. They had no right fielder. They had no left fielder at the time. They could have taken some good outfielders at this point. Let me see. At 46, I thought they were going to take Bub in this point. They did not. They could have taken Roditi. They could have taken
Toot over Bub?
They took Toot over Bub. Yes, they took Toot at 46 when they had no outfield and nothing. At the time when they took him, they had Nanu, they had Joko, they had Eddie, they had Mavora, and Irwin. They didn't have any outfield, and they took Toot over Bub.
So I was in the Max Yadid, Ike Mavora camp before the trade, and Max Yadid mentioned Matute, so he liked him. So I wasn't surprised when he picked him. He loves Matute. He's a big Matute guy. So I'm sure Yadid knows where to put him. He'll put him in the right spot. I personally, if I was the captain of this team, I would go Eddie Rishti at short, Joko short center, like you said, Toot at second.
Okay.
That's my move.
Now they're outfield. What is Loudon giving you in left field?
The guy is awesome.
Awesome.
Really good player. He's really more of a right fielder, but Sit is a right fielder too. I would give Loudon the reins here in left. Really good player. He can hit. Irwin's a stud, I think, at center. I'm a big fan of him. Needs help on positioning probably. I'm not sure his positioning standpoint, which is big, but he can make any catch there is in the game. Lays out full extension.
Okay,
Good
but
player.
Irwin was, of all the center fielders in the league this year, I believe Irwin was the last one taken
Yeah.
to play center field.
But
So, he's a stud. That means he's saying all center fielders are a stud because he was taken after the 7 other center fielders. I think Loudon might be one of the last left fielders taken, and Sit might be one of the. I'm not sure. I don't like this outfield.
So it's listen, if I was here and I was able to position these two guys, we'd be fine. Just like I was with Albert Solta and Nathan Kushner, Louis Franco. Any outfield you give me, as long as these guys are more than capable of holding it down, but he has to be vocal. He has to tell him, move back, this guy's up. He's got to tell him, move back, this guy's up. Come over here, help me here. Come over here, help me here. Get off the line. He doesn't hit on the line. So help out, any way you can. So he has to be that guy. I don't see, he doesn't know. I don't like this. I don't like the IQ on this team. I know Ike's very, very smart, but how much could he possibly say and turn around and say, do this and do that? You can only do so much. He has to help. I don't like the IQ on this team.
But you do have Yadid and Eddie R.
Yes. But Eddie R's
Doesn't really know the
He's
players
not
that much.
great high IQ player, but in terms of positioning and playing, he doesn't know the guys. He's been out too long.
Okay, I mean nobody knows more guys than Mavora, which is why I sort of trust this outfield more than I normally would, because I gotta assume Mavora knows what he's doing. But
He does.
I don't see any continuity here. I don't see communication over here. Very quiet, and maybe he's not quiet. I don't know him really.
quiet.
I know he came
He
in for a
gets a
couple of
little
games.
here and
I'm worried about this outfield. I don't think Toot is the guy running out to say don't throw home or whatever. That's going to have to be Eddie R. Joko, I hear, is a wizard. This is not the Joko
Wizard.
that has a lawsuit against swimming over his World Series cut.
Wizard.
Different Joko. He's
Stud.
from the Cyclones. He's a stud.
Stud.
And how good is Nanu? Nanu is
Beast.
phenomenal. The best hitter in the league, up there with whoever you want to mention as the best hitters, Nanu's going to be in that conversation. And he's a great third baseman. MVP.
I'm putting it next to the candidates who I think are MVP candidates. I think he's an MVP candidate this year. I think he's going to have a big year offensively. Defensively, found the position, solid at it. Not great. He's not DC, and he's not Charles Saka, but he holds it down. He holds his own. He had a rough Game 4 World Series, Norm.
Yes, he did.
He had a rough Game 4 World Series right here. Some big plays. He didn't come through. But he holds his own.
I think he's as good defensively as the third baseman you just mentioned from Zona. I really like his arm at third, and I think his glove is sneaky good. Not the most mobile guy. If what I'm hearing about this guy is true, and we know Eddie's phenomenal defensively, and Toot, if he's playing second, could be good.
Solid infield.
The infield is very solid for Yedid to work with. The outfield, I'm not so sure about. This guy, by the way, let's talk about the lineup a little bit, because if this guy gets at bats, he hit one in fireman's to the fence out here.
That was his only shot the whole year.
But he only had like 10 at bats maybe or something.
But
what I'm saying is,
that was a lucky shot.
Listen, you draft him in the 11th, 12th round, you're not expecting anything from. He could run into one is what I'm saying, whereas some of the other catchers cannot run into one. He can.
Yes, he can. That's for sure.
Okay.
Well, Jigga can also. Jigga can hit.
Well,
He's the best
Jigga's a
hitting catcher
legitimate
in the
hitter,
league.
for sure.
So Zeke is another guy that can come out here. Oh, sorry, he's up here. I could bring him in anywhere.
Yeah.
You could put Zeke in left. You can mix and match any way you want. Their outfield's fine in terms of just
what they did to Zeke last year was criminal. They drafted him on that pathetic team, and they put him in the infield. What Sonny and A.B. Cohen were doing there, they had a bad draft, bad everything. But what they did to Zeke was down. And then they made 18 trades, and they kept Zeke on the infield. It was moronic.
They had too many infielders.
He's an outfielder.
And they had too many outfielders, and they had no infielders. They were making outfielders, infielders, and that's why they were 1-13.
Yeah.
They were not a good team.
But they do have Yedid on the mound, this team. So that could make up for a ton of mistakes. And let's talk about their lineup a little bit. Like, where are you starting? You starting with Eddie R. as leadoff?
Yeah, Eddie's the leadoff.
Okay,
for sure.
give him the 1.
Give him the 1. You can give Irwin the 2.
And then you're going to Mavora already.
No, you go Nanu 3.
Oh, right.
Mavora will back him up at 4. Joko's a really solid clutch Derek Jeter type.
Really?
5. Clutch.
Okay, so that's
punch
big.
A couple in. He'll be the 5
Say
guy.
what you want about Toot. The guy could hit.
But 2 will be 6, solid. And 7 and 8 is solid. They could hit. It's not a good offensive team.
It's not a great offensive team.
But it's solid. It's not bad. But that's their 7, 8, and then their 9, 10. Oh, sorry. Yedid will probably be in there in the 7, 8. He's a solid hitter. So you're up to 9, and then 10 is...
you know what? The
10,
top
11,
of the lineup
12. 10 will be Zeke. A.B. Shama, we don't know who he is yet. I'm assuming Jaime brought him into the league. He could play. Jaime knows the league. He would not put his son in the league if he couldn't play. So I'm assuming he could play. Curious to see what he can do. I think he's a tall kid also. Big kid, strong kid. So curious to see how he plays.
This team is not swimming. So Yedid is going to miss swimming as much as swimming is going to miss Yedid. It's not swimming, although the infield defensively I think is really good. I'm very high on Nanu. I'm very high on Eddie. I love Toot at second base only. And Joko, I'm only hearing awesome things about. And Mavora at first. We mentioned the White Walker scoop that he made. He's a plus first baseman. I love the infield. Yedid is going to thrive if he can keep the ball on the ground in this infield. In this league, everyone says hard and low, hard and low. You do that against this team, you're probably going to lose because they're going to make every play on the infield. I don't love their outfield. I don't love their lineup, believe it or not, which is hard to believe because I thought I did. Nanu is one of the best hitters in the league. Mavora, Eddie, Toot, but Joko. Irwin, I'm not a huge Irwin guy with what he's done in the league the last few years. He could break out, but when will we see it? Will he break out?
I'll tell you the problem with Irwin, what the problem's been. His brother overdrafts him. He finally went where he should go, late 20s, and he's the best late 20s guy in the draft. I'm a huge Irwin guy. If I was a captain, I saw him going that late, I would have grabbed him. Love Irwin. I would have put him in left.
You're right. He went 29, JT.
He's an awesome player, but he got drafted too early. He was getting picked 18, 17, 16. And when he's the top 2-3 players on the team, no, he's not great. But when he's the 4 or 5, throw him in the mix, he's a great player.
So I think they bailed out with this pick, by the way, because Irwin was, when they took Eddie Rishdi and Nanu, a lot of people thought they were going Eddie Rishdi and Michael Beta.
They probably were, but they fell to him, which No
They
problem.
went with Nanu, the automatic bat, one of the best
Smart.
hitters in the league,
Smart pick.
and then they got a center fielder in Irwin. So that was a great moment. Yedid was pumped up. He goes, Irwin Cohen, baby. Like, it was an obvious pick.
For
He
sure.
was thrilled when they got that pick.
Definitely an A on the draft.
You know what? I love the Joey Cohen pick. I didn't love the 2 pick because of what they had already. Why not go outfielder when they took 2? I don't understand that. And then the next 2 picks of Loudon and Sit for the outfield.
I still like their draft. though.
It's a little shaky to me. I don't love the end of their draft. I think they did great the first 7 picks or so, first 6 picks. Second half of the draft, I think, is where this team went south.
Or maybe I'll give them a B.
Stick with your grade or whatever. But is this a playoff team? Is this a championship team? What do you think?
So I didn't go to here yet. This is like a half to me. It's a half. So 1.5. They could be a playoff team. I don't think they're a championship contender. No, I don't. I'd be shocked if they made a championship run. But they are going to make the playoffs. You have Yedid. They're going to be very tough to sweep Yedid. But I don't think they're going to sweep teams, and I do think they're going to get swept at some point. So I could see them. I have this team barely making it, maybe getting in that 4-5 game, and
I agree. 4-5 game. I have pinned for this team. A couple of great players, but it's not swimming for Yedid. It is not swimming.
What's your grade, Norm?
I'm going to give this team, I'll give it, well, Yedid is so damn good. That's why I'm giving it a B. Not a B+, not an A.
I agree.
But they have Yedid and they have a strong infield if Joko is as advertised. And again, it's not the Joko that is picketing in front of Swimming Corporation. So
I'm going to go B-.
Okay.
Nice team, solid team, cute team, not a deadly team. Solid.
You know that's going to be in their chat. Cute team.
Cute team.
Okay, so this is the Aces. We will be back with more analysis.
And underneath the hearts, I'm feeling like a someone. I'll be riding shotgun underneath the hearts, I'm feeling like a someone. We got 2 in the front, 2 in the back, sailing along, and we don't look back. Time flies by in the yellow and green. Stick around and you'll see what I mean. There's a mountain top that I'm dreaming of. If you need me, you know where I'll be. I'll be riding shotgun underneath